which puts Chippy's where he is right now. A little bit under half HP. Vert continuing to trade with him here. A grand challenge has been issued. Very nice riposte stun. Oh, he's got it. Vert with the outplay, however.
Not deceive you, I'm joined by the impeccable Indiana Frost Curran Black. How are you doing today?
Good. We finally get to cast together, Rip.
I'm excited. Frostington III is going live right now, and we got another game going live. Up next, we've got Brazil taking to the stage opposite the representatives from the GPL. Southeast Asia come into this match with a bit of momentum after taking down, just a tiny bit, the North American All-Stars.
Yeah, and Brazil has historically kind of been the emerging powerhouse. You go all the way back to Kaboom taking down Alliance, Pain Gaming taking down CLG, INTZ shutting down EDG, but now it's kind of like the new kids on the block. And for me, the question is, who is the better emerging power region?
Kind of who is going to be the one to be the better team and say, we have the emerging region belt, and then be better, right? We've even seen NA and EU start to get into that emerging region area.
It's a full house.
They're taking some trips back and forth. We'll have to see. We're about to get into game to see what these All-Stars have for each other as Champion Select is about to get underway.
And the thing that I'm really curious about is we just saw the preview from Vert. You know, how is he going to be impacted here? Jisu is kind of the guy to watch. I know everyone looks at Levi, and he's certainly been not very shy about making those All-Star plays, but Jisu is also considered a superstar top laner for the GPL. And Vert, he's been camped repeatedly in pretty much every single game, and I'd like to see him finally land on his feet and showcase All-Stars what he's all about.
Having a pretty good year for himself, coming from that Team 1 and doing what he can from Challenger to Worlds with them. We'll see if he can put an impact on this game from the top lane. We see some of the same bands in Ornn and Zoe coming out. Nocturne and Nidalee, however, on the other side.
I don't know if Levi can jungle Nautilus, but he definitely jungles those two. We've already seen his glacial Nidalee coming out of him. No one will ever forget his takedown of Fnatic on that Nocturne, level 6 at 5 minutes. And the Xerath ban, no surprise. The one that we haven't seen yet is the Ezreal, and that's my prediction right here.
See if that's what the Southeast Asia All-Stars do not want to see on the Rift. As you mentioned, the Xerath away. See what the first pick here is for the Brazilian All-Stars as we get into our first round of picks.
You know, by not banning Misfortune, it's kind of like this, what power pick do you want to give away? So normally it's the Ezreal that slots over into that red side, but because blue side didn't ban the MF, they don't want to give away the flex pick, the AD carry, the terrifying support. So unfortunately, Easy is up and available, and we'll see if they grab it for brTT.
Is it a brTT champion, though? I mean, the guy has mechanical prowess on everything. You kind of say Ezreal goes into the hands of everyone. It's just how good can they play it at that point. It's going to be the Shen. We saw this coming out quite strong from Kra in his last game.
Yeah, and we've seen it played in multiple positions for this tournament alone. 957 took it up into the top lane. We just witnessed it down into the support, so it is still technically that flex pick, and you're getting the same strength from a first pick priority Shen as you would from the Misfortune in terms of the confusion that you're setting up in the champion select.
Patrick's going to stick with the Malzahar, staying safe in that mid lane. Feels like he can get that easy farm off. Seems like SCA just want the All-Stars want to give themselves a nice, quick laning phase, find a way into that team fight phase.
But Malzahar really hasn't found the same success this tournament.
That's true.
I'd like to see him punished a little bit. I believe it was Pawn that brought out the Veigar into the Malzahar, so maybe we'll see some something tricky, but it's really been the spell book that's brought Malzahar back. His ability to stay very safe in lane, have those lower cooldowns on his summoners means that he can surprise you with that ultimate.
Keeping it purple on the side of the Southeast Asia All-Stars. Kha'Zix gets picked up, and we see an Olaf over on the side of Brazil.
And it's not just about keeping it purple, it's also the fact that they have incredible Baron control with Malzahar and Kha'Zix alone on those two champions. So if you leave that objective blind for even just a minute, they're just going to snatch it away.
And there's the Ezreal we were talking about, is left up. It is going to the hands of brTT here as they quickly lock in the Vel'Koz for Kami as well.
That's still a ton of flex, though. Yes, it is known as Kami's champion, but it could technically be that support pick. I know I play a lot of Vel'Koz support because no one can have fun but me on the Rift.
It does get quite annoying, especially being in that lower part of the lane, able to fire the Qs off of the map and then get the math work back into play.
I feel like if Xerath and Zoe just had a baby, it'd kind of be Vel'Koz. You know, he's got the utility, the displacement, he's got the playing of the angles, massive burst damage.
I see a lore comic in the future. Jayce.
I've seen those.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Jayce locked in. We have seen quite a bit of play from him today to keep the top lane safe for himself, but also have a bit of that late game poke as we get into the second ban phase.
And I think it's quite clever that they grabbed the Jayce for the top lane and then immediately ban away the Sion. We saw Jayce struggling a little bit against that champion. I was having a conversation with Deficio. You know, the comment empowered Sion to kind of come back really into the meta. He also offers a lot of that hard engage utility that you really need to combat a lot of these poke compositions. But I was curious, I was like, you know, Jayce, he gets the movement speed when he changes forms. You know, should he ever really get hit with that knockup? So I'm actually really curious to deep dive on more of the intricacies of that matchup. Unfortunately, we won't see it here, so definitely respecting what just happened to the last game.
Yeah, not today. They know what they saw and they don't want to taste of that medicine. Varus, Jarvan, also taken away from the side of the Southeast Asia All-Stars. We did see that Olaf kind of hovering around. We see him go back and forth when Jarvan is also out of the meta. But as of right now, he is banned. Leona's going to get locked in here for Kha'Zix. He wants to go a little hard on that initiation. This is the champion that I ban just about every game right now in that bot lane.
Her win rate is incredible. I love playing her, but it's also because they see that Vel'Koz. So yeah, it could go into Kami's hands, or maybe it goes into Dioud's hands, but either way, Leona's going to be looking at that low mobility champion. If he wants to sit still and use his ultimate on that incredible line damage, it's going to give Leona a great and easy target to tap.
We'll have a bit of a way to save somebody if they take that solar flare damage or are locked up in a null zone. Tahm Kench gets locked in as he starts to see a bit more playtime here at All-Stars. A bit, just a tad. Going slow on this one as we build up to the everything's extravagant now.
But it does mean that with Kench getting locked in, that we start to see where all these pieces slip and slide into. So it is going to be top Shen, mid Vel'Koz, as well as the support Tahm Kench.
And there it is with that Jarvan being banned out. Olaf can run free against this composition, and they will lock that in for Revolta.
And that's the thing. You have, you know, very self-sufficient kind of damage sources in the Ezreal and the Olaf. Yes, Vel'Koz is going to need a little bit more carrying after, especially if these fights really start to get on top of his face. So that allows Dioud to take care of him. And then it's just about what Vert can be on that front line.
Yep, a little more speed. Really color match on the side of the Southeast Asia All-Stars. I like it. I like what they're doing. Strategy and picks and bans all the way through. And the Sivir is locked in here for a little bit of wave clear play, but also adding speed to the team. You have the Jayce gate. You're trying to follow up on Leona, or the disengage if necessary from that laser.
And it's really how she is going to team up, like you said, with Leona, with that Malzahar, so able to immediately pull the trigger. And the thing that I really like about Southeast Asia's composition is the fact that by putting the utility or the hard engage on other members, they open up Levi that he can be the carry jungler, that he can look for the Kha'Zix. Last time around, I believe it was them that took the Sion, and he was able to go for the Lee Sin. So, you know, he didn't have to go towards the Sejuanis, towards the Jarvans. He can play his style, and his team can pick up the slack.
Southeast Asia coming in right now. The All-Stars 1-1 versus Brazil. Looking at their 0-2 so far as they make their way through the All-Stars beginning stage. Who is going to move on? Brazil trying to do what they can here to get another win under the belt, I should say.
And it's the fact that their dreams are still alive so far into the tournament, but they've got 2 matches left, Southeast Asia and then China. So it's an uphill climb, but it is possible.
See the teams on your screen. Brazilian All-Stars locking in their composition. Seems like it's pretty go forward, get a little bit of aggression in, but Southeast Asia has also answered with that. A lot of aggression in the chance of heading forward with Sivir and an acceleration gate, but they can play passive as well and kite that back for their own initiation.
Also, a lot of different responsibilities in terms of how these top laners clash. So we'll keep our eyes on that as we hit the rift.
All right, FLICKR, and we are in the fountains. Let's see what everybody has picked for their runes reforged, and it seems like we have a bit of the same here. That spell book over on the side of Patrick for Malzahar, so we can switch it up at that 2 and then every 6-minute mark after, and we'll just keep a close eye on how everybody's using their runes reforged throughout the game.
Yep, everything looks pretty standard to what we've seen. I do want to kind of start with Kra there on the Leona. What I think is very cool about Leona, and I don't know what he's taken specifically as his secondary tree. I will check on that and update. But something that is cool about Leona is that she can go into the domination tree as her secondary tree easier than other supports, which means she gets access to that zombie ward. We've been talking about this pretty much all tournament long.
And it is huge. It really is. Players being, like you say, placing wards, but it almost works against you now.
But it's also that factor of getting the trait from the tree, the fact that you get either the AP or the AD. And so by taking it on Leona, she is one of those champions that in the old previous rune set, you would maybe go for the AD marks because you wanted to be able to trade in as well as have your AD carry proc the passive.
Right?
Exactly, or fervor. So I think it still kind of fits into the theme of what made Leona successful on the previous rune set.
Absolutely. We see on the other side, Dioud with a bit of Guardian, just trying to keep himself safe, and brTT, as we see with a lot of those tankier supports, they're going to be playing a little more passive. Help for Levi in the jungle here, not going to be his Lee Sin, but the Kha'Zix, we saw Karsa be super deadly on this, and Levi can do just the same.
And it was about Karsa being able to dominate the side lanes in particular because he had so many squishy opponents to pick from. In this case, though, it's Vert that is on someone like the Shen, so we're not going to see the same type of snowball that we saw last time from a Kha'Zix player. Does mean that he still has great kill pressure on pretty much everyone else, though.
And looking at Brazil coming into this tournament, a team that's kind of picked and pulled together from everywhere of guys that have kind of always played together and always been a part of each other's kind of team or just lifestyle.
Yeah, so we have 2 representatives from Thailand in Patrick and Jisu. They are Korean players. And then you have 2 Singaporean representatives in Dantiz and Kra. It's also the Singaporean coach, Omo, standing behind them in place for the former GPL All-Star lineup. So everyone knows Levi, but it's where everyone else comes from, and they are very familiar with each other. The GPL likes to play a lot of tournaments to decide who's going to be their representatives, and these teams are constantly running into each other.
It's funny the situation of Levi, because even if you didn't know him, if you played in that region, you'd be like, I want to know this guy. He's just one of those people you have your eye on all the time. Fantastic style of play, and can show a few new things with each game he gets into. Pretty even set for both teams here to start things off. Revolta low on mana in the jungle. He looks to clear that out, but he will see Levi here, who's actually quite full in his own jungle.
And the big thing is Revolta's very, like you said, low on mana and health. So Levi, starting bottom side, gets quick level 3, and then immediately looks for the invade, as well as placing some deep vision underneath Jisu. And like I said, we should be paying attention to where these top laners or what's going to happen with the top laners, because it is a Jayce. He wants to push forward, he wants to be a bully, which means that Levi is going to dedicate time to him to make sure that he's safe. Also the fact it's Jisu. He's going to be a carry top laner.
Yep, little airy love taps, you get him in there, you make the other top laner pull their hair out, and you just try to continue that Vert with the Grasp of the Undying to get in, to get his health back. He really can't step to Jisu right now. Teleports are still up. They can do really anything they want if Jisu decides to go pretty hard and make Vert blow that.
But again, looking at the vision, he's already got 3 wards underneath him, and it's just about creating that safety net.
Means Levi doesn't have to really do anything up top either. If he does, he has the Shrine to make his way much faster towards that top side. And we have a 28 to 26 CS mid lane here. Patrick just slowly farming it out, as we kind of would have expected. With that first Malzahar pick, we can see the team and the Sivir just clearing out until they can get together with each other.
So this is one change that I would like to see. We did see that Revolta just walked over a ward, cleared it out, got the 1 gold. I'd like to see the zombie wards be worth a little bit more gold for how heavily they're populating the map. I think it'd be a nice way to kind of balance some of the vision that they're getting. Papa Smithy was talking earlier about, you know, all of the Korean vision and how zombie ward can really diffuse a lot of that. I feel like if you're against a team that is really good at vision and you snowball ahead, you start getting these zombie wards down, that it almost uses their vision against them. It's almost like the perfect counter to the Korean playstyle.
And they have to stop warding. They find a way around it eventually.
Yeah, just make sure everything's dark. Go full LPL.
It's the way they used to play. That's the way the old Samsung team used to play. We go in and then we'll ward after we realize we want to be there. Almost works out perfectly. Still quite even here. A push in from Jisu the whole time on this top lane as Kami starts playing a little Faga war game to get Patrick off his footing in the mid lane. Still no huge lead for anybody's CS. brTT is able to get a bit of a poke down in that bot lane with the Kleptomancy, but it's not really giving anyone an advantage through any of their keystones here to start. Levi again will get himself through the jungle. We'll see what he does on that top side as the lane is pushed once again.
That was definitely a dive, and Vert cancels his back.
Very nicely done. Low mana here for Jisu. He's waiting for that to come back up. Gets a little hit on the mana band there, as you see for himself. Levi's going to take this into his own hands before he jumps out with a little turret aggression. Flashes the undertow.
Got the axe.
Volta wants this one. The ghost is on. The axe hits again. He's going to get the reckless swing and first blood. for Brazil.
Excellent read by Revolta, an excellent stall from Vert. This is what I said. This guy has been camped pretty much this entire tournament. He hasn't landed on his feet, hasn't gotten to showcase why he is here representing Brazil in the first place until now. Sidesteps means that the Shock Blast, there's a big cooldown. Jisu doesn't want to go in because he didn't hit it. And now it's about who's going to juggle the aggro. Jayce immediately walks to the edge of the tower because he's trying to drop it, and Revolta shows up just in time. Mixes the axe, just picks it up and continues the chase. Almost said it, did say it.
Got it. Easy save.
Nailed it.
Nice and easy. Revolta saving that one as well. Vert also playing that safe to be taking a bit of damage, making it look juicy, but he was pushed in the whole time. Even with that vision, Jisu had to think, I'm going to pull some aggression here at some point.
Just hit him in the comms. Look delicious, high in fiber.
So Vert now feeling pretty good with an assist kind of delivered to him after playing nice and defensive in that top lane. Revolta's going to get himself going, and really a huge factor for every team that he's been on. This guy is representing at the All-Stars, and once again, I should say representing each year, and now another year forward. Undertow onto Jisu. That flash is still there. Does he use it at the last second? And it is going to be the safety from the Undertow.
Make sure that he had his medal there. He knew he needed to dodge the last skill shot, and he did.
Take a breath. I got this.
That said, it was the teleport burned. He's still going to miss a massive wave that's hitting into his tower. And from bad to worse, Jisu is finding himself in a pretty sideways position. We said that they need to create that safety net. Jayce wants to be pressed forward. He wants to be aggressive in the lane. And unfortunately, the 2v2 topside for Brazil has finally won in terms of a game.
He's also losing out a bit of CS too. Siege wave that comes back, it's already starting to push back against them, so he's going to be in kind of an irregular place for the lane, and sneaking forward already. Revolta is going to make that even tougher because he won't get back to lane with full health if he's patient.
This is brutal. Is he going to let him go? Oh no!
Oh, and it's going to be Vert coming in. They did just hit the 6 on the back. He gets a teleport back to lane. They may send Jisu back for a long walk, and now they're going to have to work this one out. Revolta does not have the turret on him. No more hits to come through. Not enough mana. Revolta almost goes down, and Jisu lives for the 2v1.
He caught the first axe, but he misses the 2 on this dive. So first time it worked out, second time not so much.
Oh, Airy almost taking him down. He just chugs that potion in time.
Okay, calm down, boys. Jisu's like, I've had enough. I'm drawing the line. This is it. And they throw the Ezreal? Really?
To boot. I actually think he might have gone down from that Airy shot had he not just chugged his potion. So quick plays on both sides. Great play by Jisu to avoid that, because that would have completely thrown that top lane out.
I know Airy has a slow movement, and actually if you move towards her, you can grab her sooner, which then starts the cooldown. Maybe the fact that he was running away gave him enough. You know, how cool would that be, that the tick of the potion because he was running away from
Looking over his shoulder.
The slow-moving projectile?
Gotta go. He saves himself for now. And they do not capitalize on the first kill goal he got either. So looking pretty strong in the jungle. Still Jisu with the lead in CS in that top lane. He's going to get himself some pen as well. Armor pen, I should say. And make sure he can get that lethality in and start taking Vert down a little bit better.
But it's never ending. Again, the on the way pings. Levi is already slipping up into the top side. He's going to sit in the brush. He's going to wait for Vert to push it back forward. And they're going to go for another gank.
Look at all the wards they have up here too. Still, like you said, the ones in the river. They have 2 in the top brush to make sure nobody's pushed forward or holding back. And Revolta maybe taking a little too long on Gromp, but he is none the wiser that Patrick is making his way up for the gank as well.
There's also Craw right behind him. This is going to be a 4-man top.
4-man, 10 minutes. Seems pretty likely. I don't think Vert's going to be ready for this one. And it's also Revolta heading towards the bot side, so he is not going to get a lot of help. Vert teleported. Vert stand united. He's going to have a long walk back to lane, and that may have given him the idea. Cry using the scrying orb says there's a few too many people here if you also cannot see mid lane.
So Kami did a great job. He pressured forward really hard in the mid lane, forced Patrick to respond. Like you said, Krav was also spotted out. So now it is only a 2v1, and I think Levi is losing interest in it.
Now we get the AD carries 1v1 towards the bot side, but however, that 1v1 quickly goes away. The Abyssal Voyage brings in Revolta and Dioud, Flash, and on the hunt. But the hunt is for Dantiz, and Revolta picks up his second kill of the game. Levi in the top side. Vert's able to get that Spirit's Refuge and taunt under the turret, and nothing happens on the top for SEA.
But Vert is doing so much work for this team right now. He's absorbing so much pressure, and meanwhile, his team is running away with the bottom side of the map. So Revolta spends his time, gets Vert on his feet, they win the top side of the map, or at least survive a lot of what Jayce can do early, and then turns that attention, says, thank you, Jayce, now we're going to win the bottom side of the map, because it looks like the first tower will fall for Brazil.
Trading a bit of gold back and forth. The kills there for Revolta, the guy they actually want to get going. Remember, we said that Jarvan was banned in Champion Select, which means these fights could be Revolta's, and we'll see this one more time in the bot lane.
So I like what Dantiz is trying to do here. Because Olaf is a melee champion, he's trying to run around the tower and keep himself out of the auto attack range, and then flash to create distance. Revolta does a good job playing, you know, ring around the rosies, and does catch him on the back half.
Absolutely love when pros are able to do that to avoid some autos. You see the guy keep balking at hitting the turret, and you're like, all right, I give up. I give up. It's very hard to do.
If a Tryndamere and Olaf ever tries to dive you, just run around the tower, just tight circles.
Easy ring around the rosy. It's the best. It feels good. We'll see here now, Southeast Asia trying to gain control of the bot side of the map. They said, we lost this turret, but we have a wave push. Zenith Blade onto Dioud. They're going to actually blast themselves over the wall. No follow here from Southeast Asia, as now it's a little hairy. The brTT gobbled up by Dioud for safety there to the skies would have brought him very low, and probably even more aggression from the rest of Southeast Asia.
But I do like the immediate adaptation from Southeast Asia. They say, okay, bot tower went down. We're going to grab all 4 members. We're going to throw them into the bot lane, and we're going to see if we can catch Brazil in a back to take the tower for free. Unfortunately, they walk face first into Tahm Kench. The engage goes sideways, and they're forced to burn the teleport to get back in position to catch the big wave.
And it looks like teleport's going to be to the other side of the map. They say, you want to swap, we'll switch. And it looks like bot control here for Brazil as they look for Dantiz. That's the taunt used for Vert, so he's waiting on Revolta to get the catch. And that will be the spell shield, quick safety here for Dantiz to keep himself alive.
But it's still an Infernal Drake, so even though they didn't get the pick, they are going to collapse onto the objective.
Top lane still being pushed by Jisu. They did a good job to control that for themselves and set up a bit of safety on the map, and now they can set up whatever they want from the side of Brazil.
And frankly, these are just really clean rotations. Yes, like you said, the tower did go down, so it's not a complete wash on the side of Southeast Asia, but it's funny. You know, Brazil has been the big powerhouse in terms of emerging regions. You got your headliners, your Pain Gamings, your Key Stars, INTZ starts cropping up, but you talk to a lot of the Brazilian analysts and the coaches, and they start to say, you know, the region used to be known for being just barely kind of behind on mechanics. They had the macro ability, and then the macro ability kind of faded away. It was more reliance on the mechanics. These are just really clean map movements, and they've just been outmaneuvering Southeast Asia so far in this game.
That's one of the things to keep an eye on too, is you can see that happen sometimes for a team, but when you're able to continuously do it, you're not just thwarted by one time. Southeast Asia has good wards, so you stop doing that pressure, you stop split pushing. They're keeping that, they're not keeping it one-track mind, as I should say. They're able to branch out if one thing doesn't work.
And again, so much of that is on Vert and Revolta. The fact that Vert has the Shen, that Revolta took the time to make sure that he was in a good spot. You know, it's him who absorbs all the pressure of Southeast Asia's play, then makes the teleport, helps them force down the dragon.
Quick hit from the bot side. You see the Abyssal Voyage being used when that teleport isn't up or Vert doesn't have Stand United. A lot of actually global pressure is just able to be used here from this Brazilian all-star team.
And now we need to talk about how the composition actually works into a team fight, because we're about to go into the team fight or the skirmishing phase of the game. And no surprise, you look at Shen, you look at Olaf. Olaf's going to press R.
What are we going to do here?
He's going to run it into the back line, and he's just going to hand deliver Shen.
Not even a submarine. You're going to see it coming. This is a boat on the water, just full speed ahead. The captain right now is going to be Revolta. And Vert is manning the guns as he comes in on the backside of that.
And then
also just firing for blue here as SCA is starting to feel a little strong as well.
They're trying to skirmish right now around the Malzahar level 11 and utilize that ultimate, but again, Brazil are just reading them really well, have great defensive wards, and are just moving around and absorbing any sort of play that they're trying to make.
Feels good for Patrick, gets that blue buff for himself as they are able to kind of create a line of scrimmage with their wards now, stopping Revolta and the rest of the team from getting too far in, giving Jisu enough time to continue farming topside. 137 to 79 in that lane.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Southeast Asia are doing a good job kind of creating the hiatus. You see Sivir down on the bottom side. She just shoved that lane forward. Ezreal's now going to clean it up. Jisu's up into the top side, getting a ton of farm down for himself. What, 82 to 140? That's massive. Pretty much any deficit in terms of pressure that was thrown at Jisu up into the first part of the game has been eaten away by the CS discrepancy. So he's feeling great right now. And Southeast Asia are like, okay, Brazil, you know, your play. You guys had the lead. You wanted to play aggressive. Now do something with it.
It is completely up to Brazil at this point. Also, for Jisu and the rest of Southeast Asia to kind of keep their mind on the fact that he is going to be that strong. Let's not just run into fights and waste his power by changing him into hammer form over and over again. So pretty good to have power on him, but could be difficult to use if they don't get the fights that they want.
It's still going to be pretty painful. He does have his Duskblade completed now on the Jayce. So in this isolated 1v1, depending on how these skill shots land, Vert will have to give a bit more respect.
Haven't seen too much spellbook change on the side of Patrick. I did not catch it. I see that heal on him right now. We'll keep an eye on that as well. At 2 and then every 6 minutes after, so he should at least have a few shards at this point.
Still needs to be about the whittling, though.
Yep. And there's the hits onto Vert. Jisu says, I can add a little bit more. We got a long lane here, and I have a boost for a speed steroid. Goes ahead, gets it to the skies in with a flash, but blows a flash. So you can kind of say, all right.
Really? That was interesting. I've never seen that. Flash.
That's what All Stars is all about.
Like
New things.
You're right. I can't argue with that.
Push the mid lane. Brazil trying to make use of what they can, as they know Vert just blew flash. His teleport's up, Stand United is up, so they're trying to make something of that, but SEA doesn't want the engage. They're already taking Rift Herald as BR's vision falls off quite a bit. They have not been able to gain the top side of the map throughout basically the whole game.
And the issue there is that Brazil just simply didn't have the proper vision to make a siege play like that. The top side of the map is controlled by Southeast Asia. You see the 2 control wards, and they didn't see where Kra was. So Kra did the smart thing. He backed off the tower, he went to Fog of War, and he sat on top of a ward. And so it didn't matter that he wasn't actually moving in position for a flank, but that he could threaten that he was.
Yep.
And it forced Brazil to respect and back off.
Fog of War, always the danger, even more so here. Jisu finally going down for overstepping his boundaries. That'll be his first death. He'll be able to teleport wherever he needs to go. But I feel like things will calm down here for the pressure that Southeast Asia has had over the last few minutes. This might give Brazil a chance to breathe.
He's just letting Vert know, if it's not a 2v2, learn your place. Might be a 3v1 in a few seconds. Sivir's thinking about it. He's like, do we really want it?
Need to see more emotes, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna have some thumbs up and happy faces.
Do we not get the emotes in competitive?
I'm not sure. It would make everything better.
That's a missed opportunity if not.
See a lot of moo-moo cries. Pressure towards mid. It is the Blitzcrank. Question or thumbs up?
Question mark.
Yeah. It's always the question. 14 seconds on Mountain Drake. And again, Brazil will have control over the bottom side of the map. Southeast Asia was kind of thwarted out on the first one as Inferno went over to Brazil. So it looks like everybody will be ready for this. We even see Levi starting to head down here. His item finished in his warrior enchantment.
But it's interesting that we're looking at BRTT right now. Still doesn't have the completed Eternity Force, so just barely off of his big 2-item power spike as the Muramana is completed. While Sivir just has her Essence Reaver and her Zeal. So neither ID carry, also Ninja Tabi. Neither AD carry is really in the position to carry right now, so it's really still about these top laners, these junglers, and these mid laners before these guys become the next big factor in these team fights, although Ezreal's going to hit his breakpoint much faster than Sivir at this point.
It is interesting that Tabi's Dantiz saying, all right, yeah, we have Shen and Olaf ganks coming through the turret in the bot lane. Kind of want to live through these a little bit longer. And he is taking quite a bit of a beating in that lane so far. It's always been either Southeast Asia using 4 to gank or Brazil bringing 4 to gank. These mid laners of Patrick and Kami have kind of just been hanging out. 205 to 197. We still have yet to see if they can make an explosion here in the game.
Explosion might be happening bottom lane. Levi's been patient before.
Patrick, there's the ultimate as well coming in from Vert. This is going to be a kill going easily over to Patrick. I guess we just cursed him on that one as he started to roam down the river and get a bit more pressure to where what could have been Dragon Vision, but it was already Brazil's.
I mean, you said it was about the 4-man gank spots. Just this time around, it was initially set up by Southeast Asia and then finished by Brazil. But it's going to be back-to-back dragons for them. They now have Infernal as well as Mountain. Means that the next dragon will be spawning around 26 minutes. And for sure, you're then going to have the 2 completed items on Ezreal, as well as Vel'Koz will be hitting very hard around that time.
So when does Brazil start to use this? When can they actually say, Revolta and Vert, it's a good idea to start going past turrets?
Well, an issue is that they didn't get control of the Rift Herald because they want to be able to break the mid lane tower to allow them to start creeping that deep vision around the enemy jungle so they can start playing more aggressive around objectives. By not getting Rift Herald, they don't get kind of the easy access to it, and they keep losing control of their side lane. So it's constantly Brazil, you know, sending out resources. You can see that 3 people right now around the top side of the wave. It was 4 people bottom just a moment ago, just getting control of it. So despite the fact that they kind of were in the driver's seat, they're definitely just responding to Southeast Asia.
It's small wins that are kind of fizzling out. They're not finding any results as the wins come through. Here, they'll take a bit of a loss. They'll probably be able to take down Rift Herald before it takes the turret down, but Southeast Asia setting themselves up in little spots around the map. We also get Jisu now down towards the bottom side, setting up his teleport for any topside plays.
And you know, for all the poke champions that we have in the game, the Ezreals, the Jayces, the Vel'Koz, we haven't seen a lot of, you know, badminton back and forth in terms of that damage. It's really just been these little skirmishes between Olaf and Kha'Zix that have decided a lot of this game.
It's very true. Revolta saying I'm 3-1-0 may have something to do with that now that they don't want to fight him, but we expect to see maybe a flash kind of hit by Patrick, being the flashy laner that he is in a sense, getting that ultimate onto somebody and locking them down. Dioud always makes it difficult though. If Tahm Kench is close, ultimates pretty much mean nothing.
And again, he just has to be that babysitter. It's the Revolta Shen engage, but before then you're setting up the poke on the Vel'Koz and the Ezreal. I think everyone's played this composition in solo queue. There's always that moment where the poke comp runs in, dies, and then immediately chat opens up. Guys, I think we should poke first.
And then you go to try and poke and someone hits a hook and you're like, we gotta go. Wait, we were supposed to poke.
But that's why you have the Tahm Kench.
It's so easy to forget. So it might be a lot easier, however, for brTT and the rest of the Brazilian team to start getting a little of their poke in. Once you get to that second tier turret, it's a bit harder for any team to stand around it in that enclosed area. And now brTT may be able to hit a few more of those mystic shots. Kami giving hell to Dantiz in mid lane with just a few hits and his comp.
Yeah, now they have so much control over the top side on that. So you talk about that poke, when they want to start collapsing, he pops Ghost.
Vroom, vroom. Look at
Collapsing.
Cross. Cross like, I'm trying to stop him, I promise. Revolta comes back. They're looking at him now, but Cross too tanky. Good hit. Solar Flare comes out. It's going to slow them on the way back out as Ragnarok wears off. This could be real bad for Brazil. Vert's going to be going down right after Revolta as the kills start piling up for SEA. There's 3 on the board, and they could come up with the full ace. Dantiz has to back off. Could actually get burned down here, but he will live with a chug of a potion. And what a turnaround as Brazil asked for too much.
And that was Kami who saved the day, finally showing up on the back end of the fight and laying down great line damage from Vel'Koz, as well as tagging Sivir, almost destroying her on the end of it. I was very confused here. I saw that Revolta was kind of sitting up underneath. I was like, they're probably just going to rotate. He's going in.
My people need me.
They're not rotating mid. There's the initiation. The problem is that MVP tower, you're about to get locked up by Leona ultimate and then Malzahar ultimate. And then where is Kami? He's still walking up to this fight. If he was there from the beginning in that corridor, maybe a different story for Brazil. But just on the end, he pretty much just dissuades them from acing his team.
I understand now why Dantiz did that. He came in and his first ricochets and his boomerang, that was huge damage. So he flashes forward thinking, more crits! Almost loses his own life now. They are on a knife's edge. They start to pressure Baron around Brazil. Brazil's able to push him off. Brazil's still very strong, and Southeast Asia knows it. The All-Stars have to back off.
And we talked about the threat of Baron for Southeast Asia. So again, that is one of the win conditions for their composition because they have the Malzahar, because they have the Kha'Zix and the Jayce. So they think for a second that they can catch Brazil in a back. They immediately pull the trigger, but Brazil, they've got a good read on him and force them off.
We do have that Triforce finished up recently for brTT, a bit of a spike. Lots of Quicksilver sashes as well, both Dioud, so he can get brTT or Kami, and brTT has his own, so they're really trying to utilize the safety of those carries.
And frankly, I do think that it may be a waste on Ezreal.
Yeah.
That said, when he has this too big, because he has the Tahm Kench. Let me clarify.
Sure.
I feel it's a bit of a waste on the Ezreal because the Tahm Kench is there, and if he has the QSS, then he can keep himself safe and then entrust that safety to the rest of his team. Is now bottom.
Void spikes for Vert, possibly. We did get the Ghost coming in, as we heard. Looks like they're going to try to get the hit down on him. They do. That was actually a spellbook change coming in for Patrick that allowed him to get in range with that Ghost. As he uses the shards effectively, they get the kill down onto Vert, and Brazil now looks at the Baron.
And the only job of Southeast Asia right now is, again, now to dissuade Brazil from executing on the Baron, and they're now going to converge mid lane. So clean rotation. They've got the inside track, which means Brazil has to go all the way around.
These kind of plays feel really good. Brazil obviously trying to say, don't do any more damage. We know you took down Vert. We're going to pressure this. And like you said, Southeast Asia says, okay, we still have the inside track. We were still one step ahead.
And the nice thing is, because Southeast Asia made that play into the side lane with their mid laner and their jungler, and because Jisu was grouped up with the team, not only was he able to give them the acceleration gate so that they can kind of weave in and out of Baron, but then he was also there to provide his W with the quick tap on the tower to burn it down. You know, if that was Malzahar, maybe they don't trade the structure there, but because it's Jayce.
Getting those fast hyper shots in. Always good at taking down turrets, especially he's in that side lane being a nuisance by himself. Vert going in with the Titanic Hydra and his Thornmail. Almost forgot words for a second. 26 minutes into this, and we're going to see more love for the Dragon. A double Infernal here, possibly for Brazil on top of that mountain. And Southeast Asia looking to grab their first. Levi on the wing will realize he has been somewhat spotted.
I just love the positioning from Levi. The fact that he's
always ready.
He's carrying a control ward with him as well. So he knows he's slipped into a dark zone. He's got the control ward to see how much farther he can push it, and he's just constantly looking for those flanks. It's very Karsa-esque when you watch it.
This is good for Southeast Asia, but Brazil kind of doing the same thing. They say, does this look like deja vu? You just did this to us. You're going to try for an objective, but Southeast Asia was able to get that Infernal Drake, so a bit of an upper hand there for this play for them. Dantiz on the bot side as well, being Sivir. And he's going to be dropping turrets. If nobody's coming back for him right now, he's going to keep going. He also has Levi in the mid lane, and they're going to be stopping minions, so mid pushes. Let's see what Brazil can do here on the bot side. They're trying to commit big time, which is going to give Dantiz a huge push on the bot side. They lose Jisu, and Patrick should be able to clear quite a bit of minions, but for how long?
But all Southeast Asia has to do is make sure that their inhib tower doesn't break, and Brazil are finally going back. brTT, when he used the ultimate, he only clipped a single minion from that wave, which means Sivir had everything and more to work with. Inhib down and bottom.
Happily backing for himself and also getting about a 20 CS leads. He gets back out. 10 now. It'll grow, I promise. And this is going to be the rest of Brazil now sharing this CS that comes in. Probably going to be brTT on the bot side. Vert getting himself a little bit stronger. And I wouldn't be surprised to actually see Brazil try to get some quick wards out and do the activation again. Once Revolta has Ragnarok, they hit it with Vert and they find a target on the side of Southeast Asia.
At very least, they need to walk up to the Baron. So it should be not Dioud just on his own. He's got Revolta behind him now. And they need to start kind of peeking their head in and making sure that Southeast Asia aren't immediately running towards this objective. So right play, right moves. It's now how long can they stall out to compensate for their inhib being down in the bottom side.
Power in numbers, just to do a little bit of ward clearing as they stay hip to hip for safety.
And now on the other side, Southeast Asia, it's a pretty clean play. We've seen this from every single professional team. You set down your triangle vision around the Baron, so deep inside, it's the vision right now that Brazil are clearing out. You control your side lanes, so you push mid, you push top, and you just constantly rotate to Baron, and either you make the pick or someone's out of position and you burn it down.
It is. It happens a little differently, so you almost don't realize you're doing the same thing over and over again because there's slight changes, but they're looking for you to fall into a pattern. You kind of can't see it until it happens. You know they're doing it though. You say, hey, they're just warding to set it up, and we've walked into it time 2.
And you know, I coach some solo queue on the side, and I see a lot of lower ELO players will fall into the problem where they just won't be patient enough. You know, you see this all the time
huge.
in professional games, and you just kind of walk. We call it a Baron dance for a reason, because it is this beautiful kind of fluid circular motion around it.
Otherwise, it's a fiesta.
I see a lot of those in my region. But in solo queue, you know, the players won't be patient. They feel like if they're not constantly doing something, that they must be doing it wrong. They get bored, and that's when the mistakes are made. So sometimes, just hold your ground, just wait 45 seconds, the right play will appear.
Sometimes it feels like the enemy can never make a mistake, Cross Current. They'll never make that mistake my AD carry just made. Here, Kha'Zix making a bit of a mistake, gets hit with a few undertows and a reckless swing as they back off. But we are starting to get a few love taps as Jisu puts a lot of love on the Nexus turrets.
And that's the other win condition here. You know, again, it's Jayce versus Shen in this isolated matchup, as well as the super creeps on top of it. So Southeast Asia, they know either Brazil's going to make a mistake and we're going to get the free Baron, or we're going to continue to play this dance and we're going to burn down the Nexus towers.
That turret might just go down by itself. Shen not the best at wave clearing at that point, even with Titanic against some of the super minions. They are pinging off because they say if we don't have Jayce, they can still have a strong fight to pick us apart without our Pope. And they're going to respect that, but as well give Jisu a little bit more time to play in the base.
But the Nexus tower hasn't fallen, and Brazil have weathered the storm. So it still feels very bad for Brazil. You know, they're definitely, their backs are to the wall, but they are surviving this. You know, it's just a couple more minutes before that inhib comes back up that they're no longer dealing with the pressure of these creeps, and they can look again for that engagement. They can't pull Vert right now from his babysitting duty and look for that engagement with Revolta because he needs to be there.
Everything Vert does right now basically has to be past the outer turret or river. If he can get it past river, that's great for Brazil. They have much more time to try and do something on the map without being suffocated.
Have you seen those dogs on the tiny leash? And they like run forward in the leash. That's Shen right now.
He's leashed. River, don't pass it without a friend. If you do, you better be careful.
Connie.
30 minutes into this one.
They're gonna go for the kill on Vert.
Gets himself hit, throws down Zani's, and he's still going to go down. Not even being able to stop time is going to save him on this one.
Yeah, Southeast Asia changes the formula. They say, okay, it's no longer a 1v1, it's now a 2v1. Brazil answers.
Southeast Asia looking to make it 2-1 for their score line. However, Jisu goes down quite fast, but it's a valiant takedown for him as the team is on to Baron. Not a whole lot of damage here with the Leona, but they should be able to do it in time. Dioud's right there. The turn will definitely have more damage onto that Tahm Kench, and they're going to be able to drop him down right after the gray health comes through. Is there a bounce? There is not. It is actually going go to Kha'Zix on his ignite. Not the blade coming in from the ricochet, and now they're on to Kha'Zix as they turn. Looks like Southeast Asia wants a little too much, and brTT is ready to deliver it back with Revolta. Bot lane is getting a few minions pushed in, so Brazil does have some time to play, as they just had a wave spawn for themselves. Fighting back, they stop Baron once again. I think that's the big picture.
Yeah, so again, kind of survived the storm this time around, though.
Kinda. The house is falling apart, though.
Literally, it's on fire, and they're like, I'm gonna take a dog for a walk. Like,
let's go.
It's fine. Shout out to Patrick there. He hit the cute little silence over the wall to tap Vel'Koz and knock him out of the ultimate. But we take another look at this. Again, it's the right call. Brazil has to guard multiple, you know, red zones at once. They're taking care of their base. They gotta take care of the Baron. Dude goes in, and now it's just damage control. Okay, we got him off the Baron. Now who can we get out alive? Kami is now coming up the channel here, and just eyes on Patrick. He's gonna throw his Q over the wall as soon as Vel'Koz opens up. Oh, nope, he didn't even, he saw the threat. Didn't even get the silence. He's like, I see where this is going. And Kami just disengaged.
Do not want, nope. Levi back out on the Rift very quick. 204 to 164 as he starts picking up a few more monsters around the Rift. Quite big for himself. Black Cleaver with everything else finished up. And now the BF sword as well. Got to do more damage. That's the only way to go now.
So we talked about how Ezreal was going to reach the breaking point first. That's natural. Everyone's heard this before. But at this point, like, Sivir's kind of been out of the meta. We see her peek up a couple of times in the ULCS, maybe here or there sprinkled over Worlds. She still fights really, really bad in the late game. Ridiculous amounts of damage. Interesting thing about this composition, though, is Sivir really excels against comps that are clumped up together, because that way she can ricochet off the front line and then crit the back line. Against an Olaf and Shen, you're really not going to get that. So I always enjoy Sivir. She's one of my favorite champions, but in terms of against this composition, her duty really isn't about that damage. It's still about the utility that she's providing to the Malzahar, to the Kha'Zix and the Leona. Because there really shouldn't be an option where she gets to hit the front line and then have it bounce back to the back line, because they should be separated.
And in saying that, it's kind of the same thing, but the Sivir also has to know that, because it feels so good to be able to just say, like, hey, I can reset my attack real quick and just bounce it to that AD carry. But that misstep is what costs you as Sivir your life. So knowing that you just have to be that utility is a very big factor here. Possibly giving that on the hunt to the team from the side, but staying to the back. Dantiz throwing in the ricochets, gets one for himself, but that kill's gonna go over to Patrick as they try to follow. A great silence in as Levi feels like that's his ability to jump in. The Zenith Blade now coming in from Kra as they look to put the finishing touches on the game.
Yeah, they're gonna crash right in here. The bot lane's already open and Revolta in trouble.
Ooh, Jisu coming in. He says, I'm already in the base. We've already been doing this rundown for a while. We're just gonna run it back. 10-7 now, 11-7 as Southeast Asia breaks the base open. They will take down Brazil, and they will be 2-1 on the day.
Unfortunately, that means that Brazil's hopes of moving along have come to an end, but Southeast Asia, after their first defeat, have come back very strong and picked up the last 2 games.
Very nicely played. As you said, a lot of aggression would be towards the top lane to start things off. And it looks like both junglers knew that. It's just who started warding more and who started kind of accepting that the pressure was going to be there. Jisu living through that first double gank he got really turned things around for the top lane.
And credit to both top laners, Vert and Jisu. The game really was all about them, like you're saying,
Really?
in that early game. Both of them made great plays. Both of them had highlight moments. And unfortunately, it was just the fact that as a unit and as a team, this scrappy GPL squad that was thrown together at the very last minute just showed really incredible synergy about how they were playing the Baron.
Really did. The Baron was, I think, one of the big things because we saw as well, we mentioned Brazil was moving very clean, back and forth, kind of always reacting though, not being in the forefront of those movements that Southeast Asia was actually saying, let's do this first. Oh, you're gonna go for Baron, we'll route you into the mid lane and take your middle turret. The little things that kept kind of making the dominoes fall against Brazil.
And it was multiple members that were constantly involved with that. I said that, you know, everyone knows Levi, everyone should know Jisu, he's going to be a standout. But it was also, you know, Patrick getting involved, having a bigger impact on this Malzahar than, you know, his games yesterday. So, whole team effort from the GPL, everyone had their shining moment. Dantiz and Kra, you know, they did their work. He pressed R when he needed to.
He really did, but it was about the positioning, right? Still had to get himself into a good spot. And like you said, charging up late, the team kind of knowing where they were in that role as well. They're saying, hey, that Ezreal has a Triforce. Revolta's 3-0 something right now. Let's not take those fights. Give him the first mountain, give him the first Infernal. We can fight for third, and then we'll do the dance as we kept it out of the Fiesta for them. Very nicely done by Southeast Asia. As we said, moving on to 2-1 in that Group B. So LPL Stars are 2-0. We just saw Brazil, now 0-3, and NA 1-2.
It's a 2-horse race.
It is a 2-horse race.
Well, technically, it's still a 3-horse race, but I may call it.
Very, very, very true. So what was your take on actually kind of where Brazil fell apart within this game? Where could they have changed or found a weakness within this composition that Southeast Asia?
Again, I think that not being able to acquire the Rift Herald certainly hurt because it meant that they couldn't break that mid lane tower. And again, it's so important to opening access and to trying to make those big pick plays, especially if Olaf's running around with the Shen, because it was never really getting to utilize the strength that Revolta and Vert had built up. There wasn't enough of those engagements. Certainly, you know, running it in top lane into that tower didn't help because things certainly swung back and forth, but it was a bit unfortunate.
It is true. I mean, good job on Southeast Asia as well for being able to avoid a running Olaf and Shen ultimate at you, right? It can only happen a few times, and they're like, we see that coming this time. So to hear more about that game, let's send it over to Pastry and the jungler from Southeast Asia.
Thank you very much, everyone. Here with Levi, the all-star jungler from Vietnam. Levi, team is now through to the knockout stage. What does it feel like to make it one step further?
Thì bây giờ em đã đánh thắng được trận này rồi á, thì team sẽ được vô sâu hơn. Thì em cảm thấy thế nào?
Điều mà em cảm thấy ở thời điểm hiện tại thì em nghĩ là em có thể chơi nhất 2 trận nữa.
So what I'm thinking right now is we can play another 2 games.
Okay, certainly looks good moving forward, but it was very difficult for your team to make it due to a lot of troubles with visas. What is it like playing with brand new teammates, people that you've never played with before?
Thì cái vấn đề visa làm cho đội mình không tới được á, thì cảm giác như thế nào khi mà em phải chơi với những người thuộc team khác?
Đầu tiên khi mà không được chơi với những người đồng đội của mình ở Việt Nam thì em cảm thấy rất là buồn. Và khi mà được chơi với những người đồng đội hiện tại thì em gặp rất nhiều khó khăn về rào cản ngôn ngữ cũng như là cách chơi của họ. Và em nghĩ là ở thời điểm hiện tại thì bọn em đã phần nào sửa được điều đó.
So I was really sad I couldn't play with my own teammate. There's a lot of difficulty playing with new people because they come from different country and there was communication problem, play style problem. But I think we come to the point that now we can play well together.
And I think individually you're doing very well. Do you think you've been playing well this tournament, and what do you attribute that to? Do you like the metagame? Do you think all the aggression favors you? Kind of what is it about you that's made you such an all-star here?
Em cảm thấy thế nào khi với lại cái gameplay bây giờ và điều gì làm em thấy rằng em chơi tốt ở trong cái All Star năm nay?
Ở cái game phase hiện tại thì nó rất là đa dạng và mình có thể kiểu chơi được nhiều con tướng và nhiều cách chơi khác nhau. Còn ở All Star năm nay thì em nghĩ em có thể phần nào đó chơi được tốt với những người đồng đội mới là bởi vì em hiểu được những vị trí khác cần gì chứ không phải riêng mỗi rừng.
I think the game style, the gameplay right now is very flexible and so many ways to let the game run too. And I think I can do well with the current teammate because I'm not only understand jungle, but I understand all the position tools to give them the best support.
Well, certainly doing very well so far. Congratulations and best of luck in the future. We're going to toss to a commercial. Don't go too far away. More All-Stars coming right up.
Flash is the undertow.
Got the axe.
Ulta wants this one. The Ghost is on. The axe hits again. He's going to get the Reckless Swing and First Blood. The Abyssal Voyage brings in Revolta and Dioud. Flash and on the hunt. But the hunt is for Dantiz.
Tá bom. Nice. Pega a draga.
Faz aí, vou puxar bot.
Olaf, no flash.
Go.
Quero ulti.
Let's see what Brazil can do here on the bot side. They're trying to commit big time, which is going to give Dantiz a huge push on the bot side. They lose Jisu. The Grey Health comes through. Is there a bounce? There is not. It is actually going to Kra. That kill's going to go over to Patrick as they try to follow. A great silence in as Levi feels like that's his ability to jump in. The Zenith Blade now coming in from Kra.